ended up putting me on a list. Dorsey is right. If your number came up, it was a lottery back then. This is in '69, I think. And if your number came up, then you were pulled in for evaluation. And in Des Moines, we went to, it was called the ASVAB Center, which is the Armed Services Vocational something. So
you had to go to the Military Entrance Processing Center. You took an ASVAB most likely, and then you also probably took a physical. But that
exactly,
ASVAB is the test. The MEPS is the building, and the other portion of the process is you had to take a physical, do the underwear Olympics, and all that fun stuff.
Brad, isn't that where you actually worked out of over there on University?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, Frank. Oh, by the way,
I actually used to deliver kids out there at 6 o'clock in the morning from the airport inn out on Army Post Road. They would feed them in there in the evening, in the morning. We'd give them a bus ride out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I went and registered 1976 at the Federal Building when I turned 18 years old. I thought there was still a draft. They said, no, Nixon had eliminated the draft, and I signed up for selective service, obviously, manually.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to a program which is heard on radio as well as the internet. It's called Point Counterpoint, Omaha. Omaha just simply tells you where we're out of. And we have 5 participating in the program today. Larry Sloan, Brad Sand, Frank Holheiser, Dorsey Ewing. No. Eining. And I'm Mac McCoy. Shut up, Larry.
It's only been a year, Dorsey.
I'm going to let you do roll call next. And today we have a lot of subjects we're going to talk about. The purpose of this program is to talk about both sides of the aisle. It's a political show. Most of us on this program are Jesus freaks, some just wonderful Christians. We also have a Democrat, which is usually on the show with us, Steve Barry. He's being a good son today, and he's driving his mother back from where she lives in the winter and where she lives during the summer, which is Des Moines. So that's what you're listening to. We thank you for listening. You can always email us at mac@pointcounterpointomaha.com, or you can go to the website, which has all the programs on it, which is mugbyjesus.com. And yes, I'm the Jesus freak in the group. All right, so now go ahead.
I have one quick story about the selective service, and I joined the Army Reserve when I was 17 and was serving in the Army Reserve and got in trouble with selective service because I did not register because I was already in the Army, figuring I was good. But even if you are in the Army, you still have to register with the selective service. So that's a good note for anybody out there that's 17, in the military, in the reserves, in the National Guard. You still have to register with the selective service.
Okay, I'm going to move on to back to the sources topics, if that's okay.
And Frank had something he wanted to say.
Oh, Frank, did you want to add something to it?
To the sources thing.
Oh, yeah, well, really quick, since Brad brought up something, Charlie, back in the first Gulf War, Charlie Rangel was showing his butt in Congress and saying we needed to reinstitute the draft. And he put up a bill, and he, Bush lied, people died, et cetera, and we got to start putting the big shots kids in the draft, et cetera. And so Charlie Rangel put forward a bill. Well, somebody in Congress actually had the cojones to put the bill on the floor and put it forward for a vote. And in the end of the day, Charlie Rangel didn't vote for his own bill. So I thought that was kind of cute.
Well, and there was a movie made by that. It was called Charlie's War, and I believe Tom Hanks played the part of Charlie. Mm-hmm. Isn't that right? Okay. All right.
Anyway, sources, CNN is great on fact-checking. But How do you check the facts when the fact checkers are not giving you the straight facts?
Find a different fact checker.
Walter Cronkite, you talked last week about Walter Cronkite, 3 independent sources. They're lucky if they have 2. What they did to spy on Carter Page is the FBI leaked a story to Michael Isikoff at Yahoo News. And when they wanted to go forward to the FISA court to get a warrant to spy on Carter Page, they used the leaked FBI story to Michael Isikoff as an independent secondary source. Now, I'm sure that stuff probably went on during Walter Cronkite's days, but it wasn't easily accessible to find this stuff out. I mean, I think Devin Nunes outed some of this stuff. The John Durham report outed some of this stuff. But fact checkers. Snopes was founded by 2 liberal people, David and Barbara Michelson. Snopes is a liberal rag. They've been caught red-handed plagiarizing. USA Today had to pull down 23 articles, many of them which Snopes probably plagiarized, that in the LA Times, from a writer who just flat made facts up. And I sent you a thing in an email about some Alzheimer's research, and I did that in hopes of talking about this. This guy that the baseline of all Alzheimer's research was discovered by this particular guy, and it was the standard for years upon years upon years for baseline research on Alzheimer's to start from, and they found out this guy totally made up the facts. So I don't know what's independent anymore. I don't know that anything was ever independent because, as the Bible talks about, nothing's new under the sun. So if you don't have facts, make some up.
Yeah, and I think that's totally acceptable to the American people. It's not that it's acceptable to journalists, but if you're a hardcore journalist, there's not many places for you left. By the way, go ahead, Brad.
No, it's
Larry.
I need to correct that earlier. I did say MSN, and I meant C-SPAN.
Thank you.
So
I knew there was.
Yeah,
I figured you had probably taken a little bit too much to drink when you made that statement.
No, it was the heroin.
Must be that new orange drink they're selling online called Dose.
So,
all right.
Need to make your correction.
By the way, I do want to add one more topic when we get to it. I want to talk about the First Lady's speech yesterday.
All right.
Okay, so
Matt,
source. Yeah.
Matt. Charles Rangel and Charlie Wilson, Charlie Wilson's War, the movie that you read with Tom Hanks, 2 completely different people, and the 2 should never be confused or conflated as the same person.
All right, I was wrong.
I was too.
He is a Democrat and was and had lots of personal issues like we all do. But do not confuse the 2 men. That would be a great injustice to Charlie Wilson.
Okay. And let me just note that that's why this program you can trust listening to this. Because if I say something wrong or Dorsey says something, well, you never say anything wrong.
Well, yeah, I do.
But somebody else says something wrong, we correct each other live. And we don't rehearse that. Obviously, I did not tell Brad I was going to say that. And then, Brad, I want you to tell me I'm wrong. That's feces. We don't do that here. So, Brad, thank you very much for correcting me, and always appreciate that.
And nobody knew I was going to bring up Charlie Rangel.
Yeah, that's true. So it's all your fault. You made me look horrible, Frank. Thanks. Okay, so I'm probably going to be a little hardcore on a couple of these, but there are a couple of sources that I follow like a bloodhound because I know they're liars. Now, I don't know if that makes me smart or dumb, but I'll give you 2 examples. One is the Washington Post. You cannot trust the Washington Post for unbiased reporting. Now, they're a great newspaper, and if I wanted to read the liberal news all day long, I'd just open it up and have 10 cups of coffee. And the other one is one called Raw Story. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, ick.
to me, and this will age me, but to me, Raw Story is nothing more than our growing up with the National Enquirer.
I agree.
It is
agree.
absolutely garbage. Now, if you like garbage, and I don't mind it sometimes, I like to see what people are falling for. Raw Story's a good one. Here's one that's very conservative, which I also don't like, because they do the same thing Raw Story does. Raw Story favors the left, and Political Draw, or Politica Brawl, BRAWL, does the same thing in favor of conservatives. And I don't want to see that any more than I want to see the other side.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, yeah, you have.
How'd you find it?
It's online. It's the one where the guy comes on and gives you a video clip he's going to show you where some conservative eats a liberals for lunch. I think you've seen it. Maybe you haven't.
It does not sound familiar.
I'll send you a link. Okay, if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Larry, anybody else watch that?
I have not.
Okay. Brad? Am I the only one?
I think you are. I've never heard of this.
Okay. One of the new players in the market is a thing called Axios, and they have poured a lot of money into getting a seat in the the White House press room.
Are you talking about Axios?
Yes.
I believe that's the way they pronounce it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't mean to correct you. I just wasn't sure what you was mentioning. Axios, I think, is what it is.
And just know, and somebody will tell you this isn't true, and that's okay because I don't need to be right. But there is money involved in getting one of those seats in the White House press room.
Absolutely there is.
Yeah. Well, they'll tell you no. It's all on the integrity of the reporter.
No.
And it's not.
Well, I not to interrupt, but I think the thing that is really wonderful is they're kicking out some of the, I don't want to say kicking out,
No,
but they're not going to these legacy media moguls as much. They're allowing in new people.
Yeah.
And so this administration is allowing in, Caroline Leavitt or whatever, is allowing in more fresh faces and fresh voices, and she'll highlight the new person in the room in these press conferences, and she'll go to them for the first question.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day when you had old Helen Grumpy Mumpy sitting on the front row, and you had Sam Donaldson, and you had these people hitting up Ronald Reagan with the questions, from the legacy media, they would have had a fit with this type of stuff.
Yeah. So MSN to me is just garbage. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the things I'm going to bring up as an example is the Epstein ongoing garbage, which I'm kind of embarrassed that the First Lady brought it out again, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So in the story about Melania's press conference yesterday, MSN says, adds Congress should provide public hearings for victims to testify under oath, which is not the position of most Republicans on Capitol Hill. That's not true.
Not at all.
Not at all. It's the Republicans who say, why are we doing this? Why do we keep this burning blanket alive? And the First Lady kind of did it yesterday, but And that line right there that I read you was like on the third page of the report that they published yesterday, MSN. Mm-hmm. Okay. I enjoy watching CNN. I do get a little throw up in the back of my throat every once in a while when they do it. I am equally not a lover of Fox. They do the same thing to Democrats as CNN does to Republicans.
I disagree.
Do you? Okay. Why?
Because all of the shows that I've watched on CNN, I've only seen a panel where they have a Republican on it, one show. Okay?
Okay.
Every segment that I have seen of national report on Fox, they always have a Democrat.
I agree.
Always.
I agree with you.
Always.
This is true.
I agree with you.
Right. And so...
But the other four are huge Republicans, huge conservatives.
Well, that's fine. And Fox is right-leaning, but they are much more middle than CNN.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Okay.
I'll agree with that. Okay. Frank, you mentioned something about Snopes a little bit ago. Where do you think Wikipedia sits in the middle of
I
that?
don't like Wikipedia.
Well, as my librarian, two of my librarians, actually, Mackie had a fit one time. I told him I had a librarian. She said,
He actually has a crush on it.
Wikipedia is a good place to start. You're not going to end up there. But the thing about Wikipedia is if you're a contributor to it, you can go in and change a fact,
Correct.
and then somebody can go back in and change it again. If you've got login access or contributorship access to it, Wikipedia is subject to change.
Yes.
So I get a lot of information from Wikipedia, but it's like my librarian said, it's a good place to start, but you don't want to stop there.
Yeah.
I don't use it at all because I've actually, especially in IT, when we were trying to figure out how to make our systems more hack-proof and things of that nature, we would go on to Wikipedia and intentionally introduce misinformation.
Oh.
And to see if it was caught with our systems. And, so it is not by any way, shape, or form should be considered credible at all.
Wikipedia is the best news money can buy.
Okay.
That's true.
Let me give you another example. I overlooked this. On the political brawl, BRAW, the one that you have never seen, this is the place that I first heard the story when that, I don't care what you want to call him, alleged illegal immigrant shot and killed that young lady in Chicago who was from the local college. And the political brawl came out and said that, quote, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. We need to deport the alleged shooter. Now,
That seems kind of contrary to me, what you just said.
what do you mean contrary?
I mean, it doesn't fit in my head.
Well, rather than put him in prison and make him live a life in American prison, they just said, well, let's just deport him. He committed a crime of murder.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Political brawl said, well, let's just send him back. There's another illegal alien who's a criminal. Let's send him back.
And he'll probably be back in the country because they won't keep him in prison.
Yeah.
Or he'll break out.
I'm a capital
Capital
punishment person.
Are you?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, can I ask Dorsey a question?
Yes, please.
Do you know anything about New York newspapers?
Yes.
New York Post, New York Times.
Yes.
Is the Post credible? Because a lot of leftists will, and I got a cute story I'd like to tell you about it. But what's the feeling? What's the friction and the feeling in New York between the Times and the Post?
So, as a person who has digested both,
Either one give you heartburn?
yeah, but the Times more so than the Post, because sometimes the Post gets it right. And the way that I correlate my information is like what you guys are talking about, right? I go, I hear the facts, then I go to different sources to see who collaborates. And if I get more than one person saying the same story, I have a tendency to feel that that's fact, right?
Yep.
So I gave up the Times a long time ago because that was just absolute trash as far as I was concerned. The Post bounces back and forth. And
Which is good.
yeah.
Okay.
But,
One Well, not to interrupt, but one of the things I hear liberals say, it's more like a tabloid. It's more like a tabloid newspaper. Do you find that to be true?
A little bit. I mean, it's like reading USA Today, right? Everybody knows that USA Today uses print and vernacular that appeals to people with an 8th grade education, right? So,
Gosh, I love it.
I'm just simply saying it doesn't use a lot of big words. You don't have to.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
All right.
Well, also, the New York Post looks like a tabloid.
It does.
They're not the paper that opens up one way. It opens up like a book.
Right. So, the Post for a time did actually have tabloid standing. And so, like I said, I personally am not interested. I read what's going on in New York because I'm interested in what's going on in that part of the country. But insofar as getting anything of any newsworthiness, I don't believe anything that comes out of that city for the most part.
Well, if you indulge me here for about 2 minutes.
I'm counting.
I get a lot of news from Newser, and it's associated with one of my email things. And the thing I like about Newser, it's got a comment section, so I argue with a lot of liberals on it, obviously. And I told one guy who challenged me on my sources, well, where do you get your news? I said, well, I've told you umpteen times before, and he's always ridiculed my comments. So he said, well, tell us, not me, tell us. I said, I get my news from the New York Times, and then I believe exactly opposite. But somebody challenged me on there one time because I brought up the comment, and Mac, this will resonate with Mac because Mac said this up in the sky or up in this Merle Hay Tower, that people will do things to bring attention and a focus to their own cause, like the poop swastika back down in the University of Missouri was put up by somebody who was sympathetic to anti-Semitism. And so I made the statement that a lot of times people will do things to bring attention to their own causes. And this person, and I said something, it was the debate was about gun violence. He says, you just show me one time where somebody has killed somebody or shot somebody to bring attention to that cause. And you don't challenge the verse, because I had heard this. I scoured Google for hours trying to find the story because I knew I'd heard the story on the news of some guy that robbed a bank over, I want to say it was in Tennessee or someplace, but he walked into the bank and he ended up shooting 3 or 4 people, but the comment was made that he done it because he wanted to bring attention to the lax gun laws in the United States of America. Well, I had a hard time finding the story, but I eventually found it on Google from the New York Post. So I posted the link to the article that the New York Post had posted on it, and of course I got met with immediate skepticism. Well, the Post is just garbage. It's tabloid. It's that sort of thing. I said, dude, you're missing the point. The guy wrote a manifesto. I can't help that the other networks and newspapers refuse to report on the manifesto. The New York Post didn't make up the manifesto, and the guy clearly in his manifesto was writing that he was doing this to show how lax the gun laws were in the United States of America and how easy it's to get a gun and how easy it's to go in and rob something. And I said, the Post didn't make it up. But as soon as I mention New York Post or link to the New York Post, it's automatically dismissed as some kind of garbage. I said, they were the only ones that were reporting truthfully on the story because everybody else, that didn't fit their narrative. And you'll find that a lot in media. If it's a white cop shooting a black person, or a black person shooting, a black cop shooting a white person, totally different narrative. I even heard one MSNBC reporter say once, "Oh God, I hope this is not another Muslim attack." because, during the early 2000s, there was a lot of Muslim attacks. And she actually sighed on air saying, oh, God, I hope this isn't another Muslim attack, because it doesn't fit their narrative. Go ahead.
Do you find that there are less reports on a black shooting a black than a white shooting a black?
Well,
Absolutely.
And, Saturday Night Live has this skit. It is so irreverent. But there's 4 news anchors, and they're reporting the news. And the other side is talking about, well, you know who that is. They're black or they're white or whatever the case may be. And if they get it wrong, right, then they're keeping score.
Oh.
And it is very, very funny. You guys need to watch it. But there is definitely a group of people in this country who are looking for the extermination of people of color in this country. And unfortunately, in my personal opinion, it's the Democrats. Because they fund and defend every piece of bad behavior in the black community and try to make it a victimhood thing, the white man keeping them down thing, systemic racism, yada, 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 yada. None of which is true. None of which is true. And, I have always told everyone that I know that I don't believe in different standards for different races, right? If you can't call me the N-word, I shouldn't be calling anybody an N-word. Just because I'm black doesn't mean that I own that word. Yep. And that it should be changed because I'm black. I think it's crap. And we have done that in our culture. We have taken the most base behaviors and made them popular to our own detriment. We have.
Yeah.
Women should not be having babies out of wedlock. Young ladies should not be walking around looking like prostitutes. It should not be cool for you to go to jail, but not be cool because you have a college degree. And these are, and I can go on and on and on and on.
Yeah. Well.
But that political group makes sure that we stay exactly where we are. Prime example, welfare. All right?
Okay.
You have welfare. Welfare is not supposed to be a lifestyle. It's supposed to be a help up.
Right.
All right? But if you're on welfare and you go to school and you start making a certain amount of money, they kick you off of everything. And you're basically working poor. But if you stay on welfare, they pay for your house, your car, your garage. Your groceries, your cell phones. Okay? As long as you stay in that pocket where they can feed you the money and decide what you can and cannot have.
Yep.
And, I've had these conversations online on our website, and people will say, well, you're saying that most of the crime and all this is in welfare is mostly black. And there is a lot more white people on welfare than there are black people. And I said, yeah, but you have to look at the percentages, okay?
Yeah.
If I'm 13% of the population and 50% of us are on welfare, that's a completely different number than being 90%
Yep.
and 13% being on welfare.
Yep. You know, you're listening to Point Counterpoint Omaha, and the reason it's got Omaha on there is just to let you know where the show is based in. Most of those of us on this program, there are four of the people, and that would be Steve, who's not here today, Larry, Frank, I guess three of them live in Iowa. Brad lives in Arkansas. Dorsey and I live here in Omaha. And this is a program in which we discuss current events, and we have two rules. Be nice and no name calling. And so that's the opposite of what you're going to hear anywhere else. And we appreciate you taking the time to subscribe and follow and all of those things. We thank you very much. I will tell you that even though this is a for-profit company, you'll notice there's only one advertiser, and you only hear that advertiser at the end of the show because that's all they asked me to do. And that is Divine Truth Christian Store. And so we don't do this for the money. I had somebody the other day online, and if I could have seen the person, I probably would have. Well, I wouldn't have been nice. Well, because I invited them on the show, and they had a very different view than I had. And I invited him on the show, and he said, "I'm not coming on. You're just trying to boost your ratings." Ratings? What's that? You don't have ratings anymore. It's likes and follows and subscribes. And so, anyway, just so you know, all of us do this because we care that you hear and have the opportunity to hear both sides of the story without it being biased, dirty, crappy language, et cetera, et cetera.
So I want to say one more thing. Gentlemen on the phone, I appreciate the respect that you showed me with the conversation the diatribe that I just went off on. But I want you to be aware of the fact that I am aware that you are not necessarily allowed to have an opinion on this subject. And I'm sorry for that.
That's never stopped me, Dorsey.
I guess I don't know what that means.
So what that means is I'm sitting here talking about the issues that are going on in my community.
Okay.
And these gentlemen are not going to make comment of it because if they were to do so because of what they look like and them being male, they would catch a lot of heat over it.
You know.
And I don't think that's fair. They should be able to contribute their attitudes and their trains of thought in this conversation as well.
Let me just tell you a teeny story on that. When I first moved to Omaha, there was a man who I met, and he's very talented, very, very good speaker, and I had him on my program many times. And then I got him an opportunity to be on, I think it was once a week in the beginning. Maybe he's on every day now. And I remember he and I were driving around in the car one day, and there was something in the news, and he's an African-American. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, hey, how come you can call each other the N-word and we can't? That ended our friendship.
Really?
And he turned around and told the people that owned the radio station that I was a racist.
Oh,
for the love of God.
Well, but that just kind of backs up what you just said, right?
Right, it does.
You know, I would never call somebody the N-word. I didn't call somebody the N-word ever. I don't know if I've ever used that term. But anyway, it's just sad.
Their argument is that they can't be put in the same soup bowl with everybody else. They use it for a term of endearment, et cetera, et cetera. I'd like to, I don't want to interrupt. If somebody else wants to jump in, just, but Mac used to work with the guy Bradshaw. I don't know how many times that we mentioned to Bradshaw about Margaret Sanger, the eugenicist. Mm-hmm. Straight up eugenicist. Put these abortion clinics in poor black communities with the purpose of eliminating the black race.
Correct.
When Dorsey says there's people that want to eliminate the black race, they're absolutely true. And Bradshaw would tell us, oh, you're smoking crack. I don't know how many times he put Mac down, put me down. That's just not true. Well, eventually, Planned Parenthood outed that secret. But yes, Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. So was Charles Darwin.
Yep.
But we just get accused of lying, when they're telling the truth. So, speaking of C-SPAN, I watched a really interesting program with David Horowitz, the old 60 leftist.
Yeah.
And I like listening to people like that because they out all the juicy secrets of how they used to do things. But he was telling on C-SPAN one night that had it not been for Margaret Sanger and some of her efforts, that the black population is 13%, but had there not been all these 60 million legal abortions, most of them in the minority communities, that the black population would be somewhere around 38% of this country, and they said that would be a much larger seat at the table and to be heard than 13%. So Horowitz brought up the point that we've sat by, and the black leaders have sat by and let themselves be killed off.
Okay, anybody else comment on what we're talking about? Otherwise, we're going to move on to that amazing 5-minute speech that Melania Trump said yesterday.
Somebody's talking.
Yeah.
I'd like to jump in for just a moment.
Go ahead.
When I check stories and I look at who the producer of that news is, and this is something anybody could do, and I found out this long ago. Go into Google, enter the name of the company, like New York Times, and then type in bias, B-I-A-S.
I do that all the time. Yeah.
Yes. And if you do that, there are many actually, companies that do bias checking. Now, some of the bias checkers are biased, so you can't use just one. But if you type in the New York Post, it'll tell you it's got a bias rating of lean right, indicating it's moderately aligned with conservative viewpoints. Right. If you do there's a company called All Sides Bias. There's another one, Biasly. And so you can check these things very quickly, very easily. So for all the listeners out there, again, just enter the name of the media company and then enter bias behind that and hit go. And you'll find out pretty much everything you want to know. However, never count on just one. Use several. There are several different ones.
And that's how I found out about Raw's story, because it kept coming up in my YouTube feeds.
Yep.
And I'm like, where did this come from? I don't know anything. And Newsmax as well. I had not been using either one of those. And I went in there and I Googled them and put in bias, and it told me exactly what the leanings were. And I thought, okay.
Well, is that also is it that stream of websites that'll also tell you how many seconds or minutes that they dedicated to this story compared to another network?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think it will come up in there. It could come up depending on who you're going to and what part of that site you're looking at. Media Bias Fact Check is one of them that I use.
Okay.
And they're pretty good generally. It's and then you can go to the separate areas in there, and it'll give you some statistics. A lot of them will.
Okay.
So, but people don't have to be ignorant.
No.
Okay, we're ignorant willfully. We choose to be ignorant of that which doesn't validate our own beliefs instead of looking for the truth. And that's where I think so many human beings fall. We just want to validate our own beliefs. And that's human nature.
Yeah.
But it's not a good way to be educated.
No, very good.
It's called circular reasoning, circular logic.
Okay, so let's start a new topic. First of all, we'll let everybody know that you're listening to Point Counterpoint Omaha. It's called Omaha because that's where the show originates from. It is a group of people from the right and from the left who follow talking about the top of the news, the current affairs, the politics, with two rules. We don't call each other names, and we're nice. We talk about policies, not politicians. And so that's the show. You could probably watch something more exciting There's no Gutfeld on this show. There's no.
I don't like Gutfeld.
I don't either. Anyway, but that's the way we decided to put this show together, and we're almost on 2 years now since we started this.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So I want everybody's opinion on the First Lady's press conference yesterday, if you want to call it that. Basically, she read a statement. It was about 5 minutes long, and she took no questions.
Yeah, she's just over it.
Okay, you go first then.
No, I've been going first for most of the show. Larry, it's your turn.
All right, your turn, Larry.
Well, the fact of the matter is, anybody can just get weary from all the lies being told about them.
Right.
And you have really two choices. You can ignore them and hope other people defend you, or you can defend yourself. And in this particular case, she's had it. She's fed up. She's been libeled. She's been slandered. She's been defamed. And I don't blame her. If it were me, I might have hit back sooner. She's a little more restrained than I am. But God bless her for hitting back. And she didn't make it a long, drawn-out process. She said what she had to say. She didn't take questions. She's not interested in spinning it. She said, I'm tired of it. I'm looking at legal recourse at this point. And she let it stand at that. So I'm for that. I'm glad she did it.
Yep.
All right, Frank.
So does this pertain to the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it pertains, Frank, it pertains actually to them saying that somehow she had some sort of relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, they supposedly said that he introduced her to Trump.
Yeah, I think that was that's the point that it hit.
Right. And it's crap.
Yeah, that was not the case.
Right.
And she had no relationship with Maxwell either, except they pulled up one email where they went back and forth for 1 minute, and now all of a sudden, well, she's a good friend of Maxwell's.
Yeah.
And she's probably beginning to feel what we have all felt for her for a long time. Mm-hmm. That she really took the brunt of a lot of stuff. But I tell you what, I don't think you want to mess with that woman.
Yeah, I don't. It's not on my bingo card.
Yeah, no. Frank, your thoughts?
Well, I think Melania is probably the classiest first lady that's ever been in the White House.
I agree.
Yep.
She just reeks of elegance, class. She's not a gutter snipe. She's not going to get in there and throw mud. You remember Michelle saying, well, when they go low, we're going to go high. Well, you've been seeing how high the Democrats have been going lately. I noticed, they said something the other day about Donald Trump using the F-bomb in a message to Iraq, and everybody was losing their mind. And I said, well, just Google all the Democrats from Jasmine Crockett to Tammy Duckworth to, you can find a list of them, about 20 of them that's been dropping the F-bomb lately, thinking they're cool and they're trying to be, excuse the term, ghetto or hood or whatever, trying to get in your face to supposedly keep up with Trump. But Trump is Trump and Melania is Melania. And that's why opposites attract, I guess. I mean, Trump is brash, the bull in the china shop. He's going to come in and break some stuff. And Melania is a totally different, cool cat. And when she says stuff, I think it deserves to be listened to and heard.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that's been said about her is just ridiculous. During the first term, well, she wasn't even living in the White House. She was separated from Trump, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the woman is by his side, and I think that great credit to both of them.
Brad, your thoughts?
Well, not to disagree with Frank, but I'm going to have to this time. She is a very prominent, intelligent woman, but I would have to say that Dolly Madison was the best first lady in our nation's history.
I love her donuts.
That's
Yeah.
But to the actual subject, you can never win, not with the progressive left media. Whatever she said is going to be disparaged, and if she didn't say anything, they would attack her. If she says something, they're going to attack her. So
Yeah.
I don't know what else she could do, but on the same thing, doing anything just brings their lights and their filth back, bringing the attention to her. So.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of that. I do think we're going to see some lawsuits, and those won't be small or just to push back. I think she wants these reporters or news hounds or whatever to pay the price for slandering her name, and good for her. All right, so Artemis,
sadly,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, sadly, she's become a surrogate for President Trump, and they haven't been able to make anything stick with him. He just Trump. If I had to compare Trump, I would say that Donald Trump is the Marine Corps of presidencies. He breaks things. He's brash. He's rough. He doesn't go in to kid around. He's there for business. And that's how I've seen Donald Trump. He's a pragmatist. He sees a problem and he wants to fix it. And he doesn't poll people to find out, and he doesn't check with his party to find out if it's okay. He's, I think, without a doubt, one of the most independent presidents we've had in recent history.
Yeah. All right, before we get to the elephant in the room, which is, of course, the war, Artemis is coming back today. I guess it's coming back earlier because it's ahead of time. And what a great thing that was. I was glad that they did that. I thought it was interesting that they didn't do anything to steer the ship, the 4 people on board. It was all done out of Houston. But I do want to throw out something. Does anybody know the Iowa connection to the Artemis franchise? Maybe that's not the right word, but the NASA putting men and women living on the moon. You know what the Iowa connection is?
No.
There's a company out of Pella, Iowa called Vermeer, and it's a family-owned business, and they've been contracted by NASA to build these incredible buses, tractors, trailers, heavy equipment, Caterpillars. That's the wrong brand name. And they're going to put those together, and they're going to do the construction work. These are the pieces of equipment that will do the construction work on the moon, and they'll be made in Pella, Iowa.
Oh.
Yeah, very good company. Good family-owned company. Here's how good they are. A few years ago, a tornado came through Pella and took out a bunch of their buildings and stuff like that. The first people they cared about was not themselves and their buildings and getting things back to getting built. It was the people that worked there. And I happen to know somebody that worked there. And this was a grown man in tears that Vermeer just walked in and just took care of everything for their house. Got it rebuilt, did all this, and that's the kind of company Vermeer is. So they're good people. Okay, so let's talk about the ceasefire. Is it still on? And I'm not making a joke. I don't have a TV in here. But this morning it was kind of sounding like, well, it was holding, but there were some issues there.
As far as I know, it's still on. Larry's going to be mad at me, and that's okay.
You kids fighting again.
I hate the fact that there's a ceasefire. I do. I hate it. I feel like Iran is consistently doing the whack-a-mole thing.
Yeah.
Right? And every time we cut them some slack, they just get a little more stupid.
Yeah.
And, so the fact that we stopped, I'm greatly irritated. I am.
Dorsey, though, there's one thing you need to take some things into consideration. First,
help me out.
We need to allow the dust to clear, find out who actually is still alive and who is in charge. And you can't just keep lobbing the bombs at them. You have to do some reassessment. How badly damaged? What are targets of opportunity that still exist. The ceasefire is for us as much for them to see if we need to free the straits, which is they're making it look like that is the next step it's going to have to be. And I don't think anybody in the world wants that to happen. Iran doesn't want that to happen, but they're kind of flailing around trying to figure out who's in charge. All these different people are doing things on their own, which is really dangerous. But until both sides kind of step back to see what's left and who's in charge, there's good things in this. Hopefully, somebody with common sense can take the reins in Iran. But right now, the U.S. is reloading and getting ready to hammer them again if we need to.
Okay, I can accept that. So, but did you hear? I love the Israelis. I do. I love those people. A lot of the people that we killed in the first strikes, they actually had doctors and dentists implanted in Iran, and they put tracking devices in their dental work. And so they did, and they in their dental work, and some of their operations where they needed like pacemakers or whatever,
yeah.
And that's how they found a lot of them.
That's great.
You gotta love that.
That's great. Here's something interesting.
Are excellent at that stuff because they have to be excellent at that stuff.
Yeah.
They are surrounded by people like Iran wanting them to kill them, so their history forces them to be creative and tell the rest of the world, unless you're willing to protect us, which the rest of the world has told them, no, we're not going to do it. So
right.
The Israelis are like, we would love to be able to not have to do this, but we can't trust you.
Right.
We can't trust anybody else. We have to make sure that our people are safe today and tomorrow.
Okay, somebody give me some facts on this, because I'm not clear on this. When it comes to the ceasefire, does this include Israel not firing at Lebanon, which is where the Hezbollah has been hiding behind citizens, babies, hospitals, churches, etc.?
I was not under the impression that Israel was part of this ceasefire.
That's what I was agreeing with, but Iran is yelling foul.
Israel agreed to the ceasefire in Iran, but not in Lebanon.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And they specifically said, okay, we'll go along with this truce with Iran. However, Lebanon and Hezbollah is off the table.
Okay.
Okay, good.
That explains it.
That's been, right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody know? I don't know. I mean, a lot was made about Trump's threat to hit energy suppliers, like power companies, et cetera, petroleum storage places, bridges, infrastructure. And supposedly Iran was getting human shields to volunteer. I doubt that they volunteered. They volunteered at gunpoint to surround this stuff so that if Trump hit it, it would be blatant war crimes. And it's almost like the left was disappointed when he kind of stood that down and agreed to this 2-week ceasefire. Did anybody think that Trump was serious about hitting that type of stuff, like the
what
would be equivalent to our Mid-American Energy, stuff like that?
Yeah, go do some research, guys. We're all people who want to tell the truth. If you look up the definition of war crimes, Trump is not threatening or has done any of it.
When you say you're going to wipe the entire civilization off the face of the earth, that's a little.
Well, but
he said that.
I know he said that, but
he said that.
Well, what do you think war does?
That's military propaganda.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't walk around. if somebody had said that, I mean, one of the reasons we have a problem with Iran is because of the fact they're saying they want to wipe the Jews off the face of the planet. Trump cannot go back around and make that statement to the Persians. I mean, it's the same difference.
Okay.
Right?
Dorsey,
I think
they've been telling the United States that they were going to kill, like, death to America. They've been chanting that for nearly my entire lifetime. And finally, we have a president that says, I think you might just be serious about that. So if they've been telling us for decades that they're going to kill us, he just told them that, hey, I'll kill you too, and I have the power to do it. And it seems to me that they blinked and said, oh, yeah, you did take out our Navy, you took out our Air Force, you greatly diminished our drones and ballistic missiles. You might, because that's the thing on the world stage is nobody says, no, Trump wouldn't do that. Everybody's like, I don't know. He might.
Trump will. Trump will. And anybody who thinks that he won't is an idiot.
I think, Dorsey, I think it boils down to, I think he misspoke when he used the word civilization.
I appreciate that. I mean, otherwise it would make no sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he misspoke. Trump is I believe, this is my personal belief, I believe he's talking about the way of life in Iran since the 70s. Since it became a dictatorial, religious, radical government.
Sure, I get that.
And yeah, I don't think civilization is the right term for it. I think he used the wrong term. Definitely.
How about culture?
And it may have said, yeah, the culture, exactly. I think that's a much better word.
Yeah, I do too.
But Trump doesn't speak from a lot of notes, and he doesn't use teleprompters most of the time.
Yeah, I know.
So,
he just doesn't help himself, Larry. He does not help himself, and he makes me.
I agree.
Crazy.
Okay.
And as far as earlier when you thought I might be mad at you, I couldn't be mad at you, Dorsey.
Oh,
however,
I could take objection to your point of view.
Yeah, no. I don't like that he stopped short or pulled up short of just wiping that culture off the map. But I also agree with Brad in there has to be an objective here, and I think by giving it a pause, he does two things. First of all, the media has to get off his back because he is trying to solve it without doing that.
And they're mad now because he doesn't follow through.
There you go.
Right.
You're right. He's basically making the media and the liberal mindset contradict themselves. But Brad is also right that once that clears and the people can take back to the streets, there's a much better chance. I see the problem in Iran at this point as the people don't have a chosen leader. They don't have, other than the prince from the Shah before, but they don't have anybody that they can install. And even if they did, they then have the IRG, which doesn't necessarily agree to follow them. So it's going to be a really tough sell. But I think once that they've decimated the IRG and its leadership, the guys that are coming up through the ranks, the lieutenants and the ground pounders and the lower officers coming up, going, maybe we don't need to take this hard line that we were getting before, but you got to eliminate the leadership first before you do that.
I would suggest that a lot of the rhetoric coming out of Iran is for internal consumption. Generally speaking, we're winning even though we're losing, even though we have no Navy, no Air Force. They've basically taken out their armament, except for these mobile missile launcher type things that are kind of hard to track those down. But a news article the other day said that they were claiming victory on the basis of two things. They control the Strait, and they've got uranium stockpile. And Trump said that he would go in and help them get this uranium stockpile that's been undisturbed since the first attack. But they've got to say this stuff to appear like somebody's in control there and somebody's still in charge. Else it's going to be anarchy in Iran. So they want to talk tough, even though they've got their butt handed to them. But I would suggest that taco is the term that's going around. Trump always chickens out. I think the media was almost wanting him to take out. I think there was grandeur of a nuclear bomb hitting the place and eradicating them off the face of the earth is what Dorsey was saying. As much like they've wanted to do to Israel and the United States for years. But the media almost acts disappointed that Trump, they want to call it back down. I think that was the low ball, high ball negotiation. Trump is don't ever take anything off the table, no matter how absurd it is. You can't take it off the table. You got to at least hold it out there as a potential threat. And some people think, well, Trump might just be crazy enough to do it. And I think that's why Trump gets away with a lot of this radical talk, like, the Rocket Man in North Korea and stuff, because he says such outrageous things. And we in Trumpville, MAGAville, we take Trump seriously, but not literally. The media takes every word that falls out of his mouth literally, but they don't take him seriously.
Okay, before we wrap up today, there was an interesting thing on TV the other day about these Iranian elite kids. In other words, the children of some very wealthy Iranians who has sent their children to live in the United States. And they are beginning to show off where they live and how they dress and what they drive and everything like that. I think the funny thing here is they don't have any internet in Iran. So the people back in Iran are not seeing them show off how wonderful America is. Now, they are seen in different parts of the world, and that's the report I think you saw.
I saw it on YouTube and Fox, I think.
Anybody else see that stuff?
No, I read it was Soleimani's niece and sister or something.
Yeah.
They apparently may have got over here on some visas of whatever, and they were living large. And my question is what were they doing here? Whose brilliant idea was to let Soleimani's relatives, somebody who has American blood all over that guy's hands, let any of his relatives in this country is beyond me.
Probably the same people that thought it was okay to give them their money back.
Yeah.
You mean the pallets full of hard cash?
Yeah.
Here's one more thing I'd like to mention before we say a bit adieu today. In this world, there is a law, a maritime law, that says so many miles from the beach of the country that owns the beach controls that water. And it is in difference to what you would call, what do they call that? Public water, not public water. International water. Those are two different
12
things.
Miles.
What?
I think the international waters are 12 miles.
Yep.
Okay, and so which is it that they actually can control? The country that has that.
Any country of the UN can control any international waters, enforce law enforcement.
Okay.
So it has to be outside of that 12 mile,
right.
And that becomes international waters.
Right.
So what I heard the other day, which I did not know, there are 4 countries that have more land around the Strait of Hormuz or that Gulf than Iran does. So if those 3 or 4 countries got together, they could say, we can control the Strait of Hormuz. You can't do that, Iran. You have no legal right to charge $1 per barrel of oil to go through that strait. Anybody hear anything on that one way or the other?
I just heard that Trump said he was going to take control of the strait.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Take control of their oil supply and take control of their uranium. Now, I don't know if any of that and all that's achievable, but that's what he said recently.
Well, we'll have to find out and see what happens this week. All right, last words. Brad, I'll start with you.
Starting with me, huh?
Would you like to think about it for a minute, and I'll let Larry start out?
With the Straits of Hormuz, I think you're talking about the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're the part that juts into it toward Iran. Iran actually has the most coastline on the north side of the straits, and then the other country next to the UAE is Oman. So those would be the two countries that I believe you're speaking of. The problem is I don't think they have the military infrastructure to stop Iran from blocking the straits. I know that they're supporting on a lesser degree, but I don't think they can't project force to make sure the straits are open.
And I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think militarily, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes with what the U.S. is doing. They've hinted at it as far as trying to arm the Iranian population and how we ran into problems with the supply line being taken by certain nationalities and not basically sharing the wealth of arms. And as the downed pilot proved, there are U.S. forces in the region already and have been.
Oh, yeah.
And while that rescue was not flawless, as many people try to say, the facts that they could overcome those major flaws that happened in any kind of operation, you're going to have issues.
Right.
The fact that the U.S. military was able to completely overcome those issues, like aircraft being stuck in the sand and still get everybody out, get the pilot out, is an incredible feat.
Yeah.
And trying to downplay the things that went against us actually is a disservice, because being able to overcome those things on the fly just shows how lucky this nation is as far as the people, the men and women serving in uniform, and their abilities to project power and protect the American people is something I don't think the world has ever seen.
Hey, Brad.
Well said, Brad.
Well said. Hey, Brad, I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm struggling with this for several reasons. We all know that the Iranian, the rank and file folks are not armed, right? And people are saying that they need to rise up and take arms from the military, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. I don't really ever see that being something that would be done because of the horrible oppression they've suffered for the last 50 years, right? They've got two generations in there that just don't necessarily have the wherewithal or the knowledge to be able to take arms from existing military. Here's my struggle. I think that we should arm them, but in your opinion, how do we keep that from becoming a Fast and Furious or a 9/11 situation? What was the guy's name? Why am I drawing a blank?
I don't know. The guy on the airplane, Let's Roll?
No.
Oh.
Bin Laden.
Oh.
We armed Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
to help them fight the Russians. And then he flipped on us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you have any idea on how, if we were to decide to do that, how we could keep that from happening without divulging anything that you should not divulge?
Well, I was going to say, on complete transparency, I do not have any information, and if I did, I would never share it. But I would be shocked beyond belief to learn that we are not actively, right this moment, using the ceasefire to help continue this, but we're arming and working with those people opposing the regime.
No, you think we are, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh.
I believe so too.
It never occurred to me. Well, maybe then I need to stop talking about.
No, I agree. I think.
It never even occurred to me that was the case.
Well, and it makes me feel better that Brad thinks that also, because I just want it to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want boots on the ground. But I think the only way your idea works is we've got to go in like we did in Vietnam. I hate to say it that and compare it to that. And we got to help the South Vietnamese take over the North Vietnamese. We've got to go in and get the people, the citizens, the Persians of Iran to overthrow the government that's there. And there isn't much government left. But that's going to take boots on the ground. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. I want to be wrong.
But is it going to be our boots or theirs?
It's going to be our boots, but we're going to train them. Just like we did the Afghans.
Yeah, but that has bitten us in the butt every single time we do it.
Well, but with Trump, maybe it won't.
I don't know how.
Well, he won't chicken out.
If Brad is right, we've got boots on the ground there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Navy SEALs are likely to be on the ground. That's how they probably found this pilot. So how many?
no, they didn't find the pilot by boots on the ground. They found him by his heartbeat. He had technology on him that they could track him by his heartbeat.
Yeah, but Frank's right. It was that group of Marines or whoever they were, Air Force, that went in and got him. Physically got him.
Oh, I see what you're saying. My apologies, Frank.
No, that's all right. But,
Yes. Now, there weren't boots on the ground in the traditional we're sending warriors in there.
Right.
Chances are, and what Brad was talking about, it probably has very little to do with the armed forces and more to do with contractors and the CIA.
Yes.
Yes. The CIA is well known for that.
But my
What was
point, okay, so, and I get what y'all are saying, but to me, that's boots on the ground.
Well,
Classic boots on the ground would be a mechanized force.
No, I understand, yeah. But we still have people who are from this country assisting people in another country, and they're physically, bodily there. To me, that is American boots on the ground. It's
Okay.
not a military armed force like sending in a battalion, but it's still us having boots on the ground. Am I wrong?
well, the only thing I don't think you're wrong. I just think the language is a little different.
All right.
We have.
I don't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mac. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say we have intel on the ground.
Yeah.
And intel carries weapons. And these are special ops, special forces. Now, those 10,000 guys that just came over on two different sea creature, what do they call those? Boats, ships. Carriers. They're the boots on the ground that I think you're thinking of. And to me, that would be more of boots on the ground.
Okay.
I think we've had people inside every country in this world for 50 years.
At least.
Yeah.
I think it's not as much boots on the ground as it is maybe sneakers on the ground.
Okay.
Okay.
Intel.
One of my closest friends during the first Iraq when we took out Saddam, his team was with the actual FBI, and they were the rapid deployment team, and they were in the world in 6 hours or less. Greg was a psychologist, and his team were the ones that debriefed Saddam Hussein, and his cohorts during that. They spent, I think, a little over 80 to 90 days there. But they weren't official in military. They were actually federal in nature. So that would also include the CIA and a number of other covert agencies.
Okay, one last question, and the answer is yes or no, and then we're going to get out of here. It is the 10th of April. A week from today is the 17th of April. Will we still have a ceasefire? Yes or no? Frank?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not Frank.
Go ahead.
Just no.
Okay.
From Larry.
Frank?
My brother's birthday is the 17th, but I have no idea. It could disintegrate. It could unravel in a heartbeat. Something could keep it glued together. Have no idea.
Brad?
That is a long time for the scenario you're projecting. It depends on if the arms and people that were coming in from Turkmenistan and from the eastern parts of Iran have moved the population, because that is, and from the northeastern parts of Iran where they weren't looking because they were kind of focused on the Gulf region. The ceasefire will stay in place as long as the Iranians continue to at least partially and actively play the game. Does that give you? I know you're wanting a yes or no, but there's no way you can give a yes or no answer to that question.
Okay, so I'll put you down as a question mark. Dorsey?
Put him down as a maybe.
Dorsey?
And Brad is maybe. Larry's a no.
Yep. Dorsey?
I do not believe that the Iranians in power have the self-control necessary in order to maintain this.
There you go.
So, no.
Yeah.
I believe they'll go off the end and force a confrontation.
I do too. And it'll have to be something that is pardon me, I think what they'll end up doing is, I don't know if you saw this, but they were using women and children around their nuclear sites and their utilities and their bridges and everything. And they're going to do something that's going to force Trump to act on the fact that he said he was going to start bombing that stuff, which is going to start killing those people. And then they're going to, turn around and talk about how Americans are animals and yada, 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 yada. So, I think that's the next step. They're not done killing off their own people yet. I'm sorry, what?
Right.
And it can be just classic diversion where they lock arms around a plant, utility, and then Trump bombs something exactly opposite. So kind of get you to let down your guard somewhere that you're, you think is okay, and you're protecting something that was totally fabricated.
Yesterday, and I don't remember his name, and I apologize, on Martha McClellan's show on Fox, she had a former general on there who was very outspoken, and when she brought up a slide or a picture of Iranian citizens standing around this bridge.
Right.
And he said, I'll bet you dollars to donuts that there are 1,000 soldiers there with guns on those people. And if they don't stay in that position and wave their flags and look like they're protesters, he just thinks there's soldiers, the IARG or whatever it is. They're saying, you either do that or we're going to kill you.
Well, and I had also
right.
heard as well that the people that were doing that were people who were still supporting the regime. It wasn't necessarily.
That could be.
Yeah. So.
All right, kids, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and effort today. It was a good show. We'll see you again in 1 week. That'll be the 17th. If something should happen big, we'll call the team together and get on the air for you so you can kind of catch up. I'm Mac McCoy for everybody here at Point Counterpoint Omaha. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the show.